Hey Flosstube, this is Tara with wildewomancrafts and your favorite friendly neighborhood furloughed federal worker. How many F's? The alliteration. I am furloughed right now. It is October 2nd, so we're gonna use the time to get a floss tube in. And in spite of the state of my the job right now, I have actually a lot of stitching to show you, which is part of why, not only with the shutdown, but I was hoping to come back sooner than a month anyway, because I actually have quite a bit to show you. It was a very, very good stitchy month in September. I feel like that whiff of the turning of the season into fall was very motivating, and it was my birthday month in September, and yeah, just a lot of good stuff. So I actually have a number of finishes for you, and if anyone, I know some of you because I saw your nice words in the chat of the Harvest Moon Hangout, but if anyone was in the Harvest Moon Hangout, you're gonna be spoiled on some of these finishes, but you know what, that's fine. And I'm in the afternoon, so there's a lot more like light happening in this direction, but hopefully, let's see if I boost the light from the ring light here, hopefully it won't be too egregious here. But without further ado, I had a summer finish. I finished it before the last day of summer. I think you know what it is. To my surprise, everyone's favorite piece of the year, I finished, and here's where it was last time. We'll just put it up here. I finished tea glasses. So here's where it was. And here's the finish. Oh my gosh. I'm worried that like this lighting is not doing it the most justice, but it's amazing. You've hopefully seen it. This is one of those pieces that just looks so different in different lighting, I find, and obviously unironed, but here it is, fully complete. And as far as I'm doing it, if you have followed this, the original called for pattern had the entire background stitched, but my friend and I dyed this 16 count Ada from Joanne's, RIP, a while ago, and skipped the background. So I absolutely love it. I can't believe it that it is done. I just really, yeah, locked in and it went well. I think focusing in on the space down here that was a little bit more blocky kind of gave me the motivation that by the time I was getting up to these like more confetti heavy herbs, stems, leaves, it didn't feel so bad because I was so close to the end. So I am so pleased with this, and this will be going in the mail to my friend, and I am thrilled for her to have it, because my favorite way to view this is, yeah, from a distance. Again, you know, I have a very love-hate relationship with this, so I'm so happy for her to get it and to see it framed and loved in its permanent home. So for the last time on this channel, when she frames it, I'm sure I'll show a picture, but for the last time, IRL, this is tea glasses by 8 Pixel on like the internet. If you need help finding it, let me know. So that was an extremely exciting finish, and thank you to everyone who has encouraged me along the way in the making of that piece. But yeah, I'm so pleased that it's finally done, and that was stitched on a 16 count Ada, yeah, that we hand dyed. Next up, I'm doing these in the order that they were finished since we last chatted. So next up I have an FFO, actually a fully finished object. That's another like pretty exciting one. So all of these are pretty exciting, I can't lie to you. So next up, I showed this as a start in my last video, so I'll show where it was. And now it is not only finished, but fully finished, and I was able to finish and FFO it during the Harvest Moon Hangout. I find that I am a little bit more like motivated to fully finish when I'm able to, like, I don't know, see everyone else's exciting work and like chat with stitchy friends. But here it is. This is National Novel Writing Month by Katie Landis. And this was part of a series called the Celebrate All Years series. I don't know why it does look a little bit slanted, but whatever. It looks great. Good enough. It has a magnet on the back, and so it has this swappable display that I've shown before. And so this is the November piece, which was, interestingly, the last one I had yet to do. So now the entire series is complete. So that is a 13-part series I just finished. There was one pattern for every single month, but then there was a bonus pattern for March. So 13 in total. This is number 13. So thrilled to have that done. And this is Fiber on a Whim. Oh, I just had it out because I was like, I need to actually tell y'all what this is for the last one. But it's like Silver Moon or Silver Fox, maybe Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim. I have the information if you want it. For some reason, this fabric never stuck in my head, but it's a 32 count. And the trim is Lady Doc Creates. It all came in like a kit. And now it's done. It is done. And next up, y'all may be like really shocked about this one because you didn't even see it last time. So last video, I spoke about how, you know, the tea glasses pattern kind of represented the first in a series of like 3 pieces that have just sort of overstayed their welcome at this point, and I'm ready for them to be done. I'm not really thrilled to stitch on them anymore. So the next one up was Life Potion by Forbidden Fiber Co. And I said, you know, that I had that in mind for like October and maybe November, depending on how long it was going to take me. Because it was on a paper chart, so I didn't know exactly the stitches. But I was kind of like, well, I finished tea glasses. You know, if I finish tea glasses early, I'll skip over to that and get started on that. And I basically did that. I finished the tea glasses before the autumn equinox. Yeah, spring, or it's summer solstice. Yeah, equinox. Yeah, autumn equinox. And so I went ahead and switched over to Life Potion and just stuck with my 300 stitches a day, even though I didn't really like doing them. I can't lie to you. But amazingly, here's where it was before, untouched since last year. And it's done. There it is. Wow. So here we go. We can finally read it all out. So it says, bringeth to a full rousing bubble, then add 2 drops oil of boil and a dead man's toe. Next, add a dab of newt saliva, dash of pox, stir thrice, one final thing, and all is done. Add a piece of thine own tongue. And I really like this last line in the gray here. The color thread was black flame candle, so that was really cool. Again, this is one that has had a bit of a saga as well. The original pattern, maybe I'll put a picture of it up, but it has this big candle on the side. It's too many stitches. It's too many stitches. I decided it was not for me. And quite honestly, I think it looks just dandy like this. I don't think you're really missing the candle at all. So these are all Forbidden Fiber Co. fabrics. This was a kit from years ago. She did a Hocus Pocus themed box. And my sister gave it to me for my birthday. And I got 40 count. So this is 40 count Sanderson, I want to say, from Forbidden Fiber Co. And now I'm pleased because I'm a famous, like, I don't cut fabric until it's done. So look how much I did it this way on purpose to maximize the fabric. So I have so much more of that fabric and now I can put other fun things on it. So yeah, I think I was musing on how I'd want to finish this and fully finish it. And one thought I had when I decided I wasn't going to keep the candle anymore was to do a pillow finish in the style of Tracy Horner of Ink Circles when I took her Jingle Ball class 2 years ago. where you kind of make this wraparound pillow style. And anyway, I was like, if I could find like a candle in a print quilt, you know, in a quilt fabric that I could put on the side, I could sort of get the same effect, blah, blah, blah. But I've been thinking about it since. Oops. And I now am kind of thinking of, I was watching Michaela of Cinematic Stitches' latest video, and she had a fantastic FFO of the Witchy Stitchers chopping mall, and she did one of those like soft quilt finishes, which I've done something kind of like that, where I've had fabric on the like the piece on the front and fabric just sewn to the back, but none of the quilting cotton is visible from the front. But she like framed it with fabric and everything, and I think this could be a cool one like that. I really am. I've known of that type of finishing before for sure, and I know, is it Sally Yoon on Instagram? She has some really incredible finishes like that. But I think particularly for things that are going to be maybe seasonally displayed, I really like the idea of them being a soft finish, because I think that stores so much better. And speaking of storing better, so I got my Halloween stuff out, and maybe if I get it together, I'll put a picture of my mantle. This year, our TV is mounted on the wall finally, as opposed to sitting on our mantle. And so I finally got the whole mantle, and I'm so pleased with seeing all of my Halloween finishes together. But this one I left in the background here. I added my bats. And this is one of the little hexes by D's 20 Stitches. And this got damaged in storage in the bin it was in. Something was, you know, doing a downward force on it, and so it got kind of loose in one spot. So I will say, as much as I will never begrudge anyone for like just heading for that glue to get a fully finished done, because trust me, I hear you, fully finishing can be such a pain. I'm very grateful that this was not glued in any fashion, because I was able to snip some of the stitching I did on the back. There's just felt sewn on the back, and I was able to pull it, tighten it up, and re-sew that felt back on, and it looks good as new. So it's a little bit of a plug that sometimes stuff happens, and so sometimes having that flexibility of being able to manipulate a fully finish after it's fully finished can really make a difference. So that is finish number 3 since we chatted, and there's still 2 more. Oh my goodness. Okay, so next up, this was actually a Whip-Go call, and it's funny because this was kind of a cheat Whip-Go call, Jennifer. So Jennifer Frog Stitcher on Instagram was called for September friend Whip-Go, and she and I and our friends Keisha and Laura of the Pattern Queens on Flosstube started Silver Creek Samplers Izzie Dekayen last year. And we were aspiring to get it done by this year, and Jennifer was the only one who had it finished. But then Jennifer got called, and she said, I call on you to finish Izzie Dekayen, which is not really how my game works. She was supposed to roll a stitch count number, but I said, whatever, Jennifer. We'll see where it goes. And I actually was able to finish it. Amazing. So here is, I won't put the pattern up because you're about to see it, but here's where it was last time. I had a lot of letters left to go for sure. And I will say I was pretty annoyed at the end of finishing this and the Life Potion pattern, because it was just like words. It was just all words. I was sick of stitching words, but now they're both done. So here is the finish. I love it. Oh, I love this so much. So yeah, it says Izzie Dekayen, Booze and Spirits, Casket Aged. So it's a bit of a pun. Very cute. I stitched this on 32 count Fiber on a Whim Cafe au Lait. And again, I have another half of this 1/8 here. Very exciting. I love this fabric. I love the colors. I did all the called for DMC. And this one I think would look fantastic on a little board or something. I'm still musing, but I do really like it. I'm very pleased. It was a lot of stitching. It looks pretty innocent, but these letters are quite thick. So it took longer than I wanted, but they're both done now in time for Halloween. Very exciting. And I feel like getting these two done has really kind of opened up my Halloween stitching in a way that I wasn't really thinking would be possible. Alrighty, so my last finish for you is not a cross stitch finish. It is a sewing finish, a sewing start and finish. So I mentioned the Harvest Moon Hangout, and I did purchase one of the two classes there. I think I showed it. I did Tiger Lily Designs Spooky Starburst project bag. And so I did get the kit. So I did get like the fabrics and everything. And I ultimately decided that once I saw that the class was only scheduled to run for an hour, which it did end up running for 2.5 hours. And she so generously sent us, a YouTube video tutorial that's like unlisted, so it's only for members of the class, but we'll have access to that forever. And so then her class style, which I thought was really smart for something as like intricate as sewing, was sort of playing clips of the YouTube video, and then we would stop and talk about it, which I think was extremely helpful, because it's like, okay, this is the information you have to do this. As you're watching it, like, what questions are coming up in your mind, and you could ask them live in the moment, you know. And obviously we had like the 30 days to rewatch the recording of the class, but I just think like it was a really good exercise to sit there and focus and watch the video and be like, wait, is there something I don't understand? Is there something that I can't see? So you could just ask that live, as opposed to, you know, we've all had that moment in a tutorial, I think, where like something's a little out of frame and it's like the one thing you don't understand, and you're just like, wait, what did you want to happen there? So I think that was a very smart class style. But anyway, so I watched the entire class as it was happening and just stitched and listened, and then separately over the course of a couple nights endeavored to make this bag myself. And I am not a quilter, I'm a baby sewist, but I'm really pleased with how it came out. I love it. It's so cute. So this is my first experience binding, my first experience with this fusible foam, my first experience with Chenille It. That's this product right here. So fun. And I mean, I've done like some light quilting, but this is maybe a little bit more quilting than I've done. Just fantastic. And I will say, the binding looks pretty good from the front. I can't, I'll give myself that, but definitely on the back, it's a little squirrelier. There's a lot, I won't tell on myself too bad by zooming in a lot here, but definitely missed some seams, much to learn about. I understand where the complaint of binding comes from, but you know what? All my sides are closed, and that's all I can ask for. And in terms of the paper piecing, this front cover is made with foundational paper piecing, my first time doing anything like that. And these are worked in quadrants. And so like per her instructions, I was going to have these 4 patterns match these 4 patterns. But as you can see, I am down a candy corn strip. I did sew that piece on backwards and I trimmed it before I realized. So unfortunately, I was thrilled that I was even able to unpick it without completely destroying the paper. I went very slowly, but I had an extra piece of this fabric because, you know, we got some extra to do this center medallion, and I was able to swap it. And, you know, it's all in the same line, so it's all good. I'm sure it didn't even occur to you that there was a missing whatever, but just to talk through some of my process of what this went like. That was my mistake, but I was able to recover it in a better form than I could have hoped for. And for my center medallion, I did pick this fun little skull with the witch's hat, and I like that we got a little candy corn in there. So I'm very pleased. And it opens, the inside pattern is more of the candy corn vibes. This set is so cute. I just loved these fabrics. So, and actually this is now holding my new start, which is a small start. I would have gone back to it, but I just was really cranking through whips. So during Harvest Moon Hangout again, Erin of Cozy Town Stitches on Instagram and Half the Way Stitchers. She and I had bought this pattern last year together, and she was like, it's calling my name. I think it'd be a great equinox start. So like, let's do it. So we decided to start Aury TM's Quaker Halloween. And this was just such a fun pattern that neither of us had really seen stitched much. And we purchased it together last year. And I think what really got us was the I told you I was sick and the got worm on these headstones here just really cracked us up. But I will say, like, the colors of this did not really draw me in. It's just like looking at it and then you're like, oh, okay. So to walk you through a little bit of the story here, looking at this, I was kind of like, I don't know if I feel particularly inspired by these colors. I don't know if I really want to recreate this in this color. But I went to my stash and my goal was, okay, I like the idea. And like, there's a moon right here that you can barely see. So I was like, I like the concept of there's sort of these, you know, more standout motifs and the Quaker motifs like blend in largely, right? They're more of a blend, and so therefore like the witch and the other, you know, components can stick out more. They're more textural. So stay with me. I think I'm gonna lose some of you on this, and I haven't decided if I have lost myself on this yet, but I'm gonna power through a little more. I really had hoped to stitch on it a little bit more to like get buy-in from YouTube, but stay with me. Okay, stay with me. So you get it, you get the vibe. We have this, we just want tone on tone for these back motifs, okay? Okay, stay with me. So I pulled from my stash a bunch of random threads, and another limiting factor is I picked a fabric I really liked, but it's a 28 count. So based on the stitching, I need more than 10 yards. So that's another factor in terms of like pulling from stash. So here's like the colors of the actual pattern that I did, just like a conversion of all things from stash. So don't worry about the purple just yet. Stay with me here. So I have this orange for like the Halloween. This is my, you know, kind of deep gray, black, Nevermore. I got like a white. These could be subject to change. I was thinking of these as like the broom color. And then I picked this kind of loud green. There is a green in here. It's kind of hard to tell, but there's a green. The witch's skin is this light green, and it's on the pumpkin stem, and there's like a candle that's like hidden in shadow here. There's a lot to this pattern, like I said. So I pulled that. So these are very kind of much punchier. You can see we're going punchy. And then this white will be the moon. And I wanted the moon to stand out, okay? So here's my thread, okay? Ooh. And here's my fabric. And you might be saying, I thought you said it was a start. It was a start, okay? I fear it may be too tone on tone. There's the stitching. Do you believe me? Please tell me you believe me. So it goes here. There's part of a diamond. I understand I know you're looking at it and you're saying, I don't see it. I hear you. I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. I think with enough stitching, it will work. Like I said, unfortunately, I really only have 100 stitches in here. But I really like this. This is 28 count, even weave from Crafty Gurumi. This was a advent box I got last year. I love the color. And I mean, I think, you know, the punchy parts are going to be just phenomenal on this. And there's really, when I tell you we went through all the like fancy purples I had, this is the best like option. I guess unless I was to go into more of a solid purple. But so I don't know. I think y'all are gonna have to hang with me on this one if you don't like it. We'll see. I'm gonna give it a little bit more, keep working on this Quaker and see what we think. But I mean, yeah, from a distance, it's like, I don't even know where the stitching is. But it is there. It is there. I don't know. I don't know. Thoughts and feelings. I haven't done a lot of tone on tone. I think like it's hard to tell. I can't decide if like doing more of this would make me feel better, or like seeing the punchy elements and just knowing that it's more like texture in the background. Like it's just not gonna stand out. It's definitely not. So I cannot hold on to the hope that all of a sudden you're gonna like definitely see those, but I don't know. Constructive thoughts? Do you have 10 yards of a, or 20 yards of a, I mean, I don't think I need 20. I think I just need a little bit more than 10. If you have 15 yards of a color that you think would be better, let me know. So this is my humble start on Quaker Halloween, which is living in my new Halloween bag. It's so fun. So that is the finishes and the starts, and I still have a couple whips for you. What is going on? I cannot believe, and I will say right now, in September, I stitched 14,460 stitches. That is like major last year numbers, not this year's numbers at all. I did the math. It's almost 4 times as many stitches as I did in August. So yeah, that is, we're very pleased. We're very pleased to have had a bit of a resurgence. We'll see how long it lasts, because as you'll see, I have quite a bit of crochet plans coming up as well. So on to the whips again. First up, so now I finished Life Potion. So since I did that sort of like way ahead of schedule, it's not dragging into November or whatever, I sort of sneaked another one in. I only listed 3. I said that the tea glasses, the Life Potion, and then Frosty Mouse were like my 3 #1 priorities. Like I want these gone before the end of the year. But I wasn't ready to jump into Frosty Mouse just yet. So another one that I want to knock out has entered the chat, and that is Candy Apple House by Pansy, Patch, Quilt, and Stitchery. And this was a start at Stitch North last year with my table. We're doing a stitch along called the hashtag Houses of Sal Lane, because this is a really awesome series that has 9 houses per season. So this house is from the series Houses of Pumpkin Lane. And then there's, you know, a winter one that's like Houses of like, I'm not sure, something Lane. And then there's a spring one. And then the summer ones will be out at some point. But right now there's 18 houses. So feel free to pick any house. I think at our table, we all largely went for one of the houses on Pumpkin Lane, one of the fall ones. You know, we all love fall. And at the time, you know, we did the fall Stitch North, so it was in October, so it felt extra appropriate. So all that to say, it was a start of like 5 stitches at Stitch North that I haven't stitched on it much since. So this is the next one that I am shooting for, that, you know, 200, 300 stitches a day knockout. And this is where it was last time you saw it. Again, not much at all. And here's where it is now. So we have a lot more house happening. I have not put today's stitches in yet, so closing in on that house. I think by my count, because I did purchase the PDF, but the PDF loaded in, it did one of those, it's one of those ones in Pattern Keeper where it's not reading the symbols of the chart versus the background. So it thinks there's like 8,000 stitches in this chart with all the, you know, empty background. So when I got it, I believe I was bored enough to like highlight every single thing and write down the total stitch count. So if my total stitch count is correct in Notion, I'm 30% done already, which is exciting. So, but still plenty to go. So I'm enjoying this a lot. And these 3 colors that you're seeing are all, a lot of us did full Roxy Floss Co conversions. I decided on just picking the 3 main house colors. So I did these 3, and that's what you're seeing on the house. Those are all conversions, but then everything else is DMC. And we love it. So this is a Roxy Floss Co linen. This is 32 count Panettone. It was in their offcut pile, so I was excited to get that. But yeah, I'll have a good bit of that left as well. And then I have my 310 needle minder from StitchCon. This is a very like retreat heavy piece. And I am enjoying it. It is fun to stitch in the fall. It's been good to, yeah, I'm enjoying it more as I've been working on it. So that's kind of nice. This one is not so much like a oh, I'm sick of it and I want to be done, because I had barely stitched on it at all. It was a sad, sad start that I, you know, kind of looking at, it's almost been a year since I started it and it had, you know, like no stitching in it. Yeah, I just think it'll be good to get to move through this one. Nice little fall piece. So very pleased with that. And then, so I was trying to, since I did get my September Whip Go call done, I was like, okay, well, what's the next thing that has been called that I've not done enough stitching on? And if you've been around, you already know the other very popular piece to have gotten called this year on my friend Whip Go was Moths and the Moon by Tidy Modernist. This has been called so many times, and every person who's called it has rolled an incredibly high number. So I owe like almost 3,000 stitches on this thing, and this piece is about 6,000 stitches. So do with that what you will. I'm extremely behind. The first person to have called this called it in January, and I haven't even finished her stitches yet. So that's upsetting, but you know, it's okay. And honestly, it's about to go back into like not really being worked on at this moment, but it's fine. It's fine. It's cool. We got some more in. And that's all that matters. Progress is progress, right? So I did definitely a different fabric choice on this one, but I am using all the called for DMC. So here's where I am now, and my bad, here's where it was. I think I've just been coming down here. The struggle with this one is not only that the border is kind of boring, but I am the type of person that I want to make myself go through the whole border first. It's also that this fabric, which I'm obsessed with, it's 36 count Seaweed by Fox and Rabbit. It is so hard to see. It is so hard to see in a 36 in particular. So it's just very slow going, and using this dark thread on this dark fabric, it's just slow going. I just take a really long time to do this. But we're getting there. So I had a couple of days of stitching on this, and we're coming down, and this is over halfway of the length. So you can kind of get the idea that maybe it'll come down to about here. So we carry on. But yeah, I think I still owe this like over 2,000 stitches. But that's okay. That's okay. And this is living in a bag that Erin of the Happy Stitchers made me. My moth bag. So good. Oh, it's back in. Just kidding. So happy to have gotten that out. And I think it will come back out, but it might be more of like a November, because now I was doing sort of an audit of my projects, and over half of my, well, the number might be a little, basically half of my projects are Halloween. So if anything's not explicitly Halloween, it's just gonna have to wait, because I want to ride this momentum through October, and I have such large Halloween pieces. So speaking of, my last whip for you is Jack's Stamp Collection by Katie Landis. This was a start last year. Yeah, last year, because I didn't even think. Finishing Tea Glasses and Life Potion, I think I'm down to only my Heaven and Earth designs, and Frosty Mouse are my only remaining whips that are not from 2024. How responsible am I? So next year we're gonna go crazy. No, just kidding. We'll see. But anyway, Jack's Stamp Collection was definitely a start last year, because I don't have any other starts from previous years except for those two. But this is a companion piece to Santa Stamp Collection, which I have finished in the past, and I really, really love this one. And I had powered through earlier this year and gotten all of the stamps done. I had aspired to get this done before October, but that's not how the year worked out for me. But it's okay, because now I sort of get to enjoy the fruits of my labor that I did all of the stamp frames, and now I'm aspiring to work on this like an advent calendar for October that I'm going to try to fill in each stamp every day. So here's where it was before. I was just under 50%, having finished all of the frame outlines, and here we are today. So it's honestly probably not going to look that different, because the first was already filled in. So yesterday I just kind of like did a little bit of stuff. So today is the 2nd, so I finished this pumpkin this morning, and then I did come down. So I think what my goal is I kind of looked at the total stitch count, and because if you could tell, the 31st is like a huge one. So certainly not all stamps are created equal. So I think where I am able, if I finish a stamp and feel like I have a little bit more time, I'm going to try to just jump down to like a slightly bigger stamp and just throw some stitches in just to hopefully keep me a little on track. But it's okay. I mean, you know, like I said, we already blew the goal of finishing this before October, and if I got all the way down here and the only thing I didn't finish was the 31st, like, no problemo. We'll just knock that out. So I am happy. I am excited to get to watch this like fill up. And you can already probably get the idea that tomorrow is going to be candy corn, and I think this is like a Frankenstein. So we'll just move across. We get to enjoy all the effort we did to finish these dang outlines. And see where we get for the month. So very pleased. This is stitched on a 32 count hydrangea. I never get this right. It's another fiber on a whim, I believe. It's gorgeous. And all the called for DMC, but this is not the called for fabric. So that is all the stitching. And then I've mostly kind of shared my plans as we went. The other WIPGO call that I had for September was from Elizabeth of Savory Sewing, and she called my Autumn Night Alphabet piece, which I had intended to work on in the last days of September, but it is in Saga, and I didn't have Saga anymore because they pulled it off the Google Play Store. So I now have a used iPad, which was generously gifted to me by a friend. I'm not going to shout her out, but very, very generous. And so I have a used iPad that I can now do Saga on, but I kind of have to relearn how to do it and get resituated on that, because that piece is too big to work on in any other capacity, and it doesn't load into Pattern Keeper quite right. So anyway, all I have to say, I haven't done that yet, but hope to knock that out this month. And then October WIPGO was Miriam of Marumi Designs, and she picked Purple Transport by Lindy Stitches, 700 stitches, which I think will be definitely possible because it's got a lot of great fill. And then Connie of Count Twice, Stitch Once called for Witch's Hollow, and I think she had like a very low number for me. It was like 300 or 400. So thank you, Connie, for going easy on me. So I'm trying to catch up on the WIPGO a little bit. I appreciate how like excited everyone's been when I've reached out, because I asked a lot of these people over a year ago, and so it's been heartwarming to reach out to them and be like, hey, I don't know if you remember that you agreed to this, and they're all like, no, I've been waiting. I'm so excited. So very fun, and I do think I'm gonna do it again next year if folks are willing, because this was definitely fun. And other than that, I have a couple of non-cross stitch projects. I think I alluded to the crochet. So if you watch my last video, I purchased a number of amigurumi projects. And what I actually had already had done by the last video but failed to show is, because I was looking at all this amigurumi stuff, I was feeling guilty because my partner so sweetly has gifted me a number of like Woobles kits over the years. And I do love them. I love them so much. I know it's kind of like, overpriced if you know how to crochet. I've shared my thoughts on these many of times, but you know what? I'm a sucker, and now they do all this licensing, and so they just freaking get us. So last year for my birthday, my partner had gotten me all 3 of the Pusheen cats. And so while I was looking at these other amigurumi projects, I was like, I owe him that I work through some of these Wooble kits he's gotten me. So I had finished Pusheen. It's so cute. Chunky Pusheen. These feet are really something. And the sewing of the mouth is not my best work, but you get the idea. You would know if you've seen Pusheen, right? So, and I love the little tail just sewn onto the side and the stripes. And anyway, So Pusheen, this is a Woobles kit, like I said, is done. And I had one crochet start, so which was also kind of like my haul, sort of do this 2-in-1. So as I was looking at my amigurumi projects, I decided I wanted to buy a little bit more yarn, and it's a rough time. I have a little bit of a tariff story for y'all. I don't know who's been trying to buy yarn out here, but I had looked at lovecrafts.com. I've purchased from them before. They have like cheap cotton yarn that's good for amigurumi in a million colors, but they're based out of the UK, and my suspicion, and feel free to like provide more information if you have it below, but my suspicion is that they have like a US distribution point, so I don't think tariffs would have been an issue, but it doesn't seem like they're restocking their US store. It's one of those websites that like when you go there, you can either be on like the US page or the UK page, and on the UK page, all of the yarn I wanted was in stock. And on the US page, like the cotton yarn I was looking at, there's like 100 colors, but every time I went, like fewer and fewer colors were available. Like they were seemingly not restocking. And I did like the notify me when back in stock, but I would get an immediate hit from the email and say, oh, it's back in stock, but it was only on the UK. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. I waited like 2 or 3 weeks of watching this and I didn't see any colors coming back into stock. So I don't know exactly what's going on. It doesn't seem like they're restocking their US distributor if that's the case. So I don't really know what to do about that. Obviously Joann's is gone. I looked at Michael's, and I had even looked when I got an email that was like, you know, Joann shoppers rejoice, like Michael's ex Joann. I had read in the news when Joann's closed that Michael's was going to take over some of their lines. And so I was like, okay, well, let me go check out the yarn. And I did see some of the Joann's yarns on the Michael's website, but unfortunately, at least for now, I don't know if they're going to like start picking up production again, but what was available to me online looked still like they were selling off old inventory. It was just like really random colors or like variety packs, like just very odd combinations of things of what was available. So that wasn't going to work. So I finally landed on Hobby, which I have purchased from before, but they're in Denmark, I believe. And they had a nice like tariff page where they were like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. Like, we will tell you what the price of the tariff is going to be before you check out. So, you know, you're not going to be hit with like a surprise cost. So it's kind of like, okay, but they explained that it's like, it is based on some extent by like weight and volume. So it was, you know, there was nothing to do but fill the cart, right? To learn what the price is going to be. So I kind of played this game of like, well, if I'm going to be paying like a tariff, I might as well like overbuy slightly so I don't have to buy anymore. So that's kind of what happened. And yeah, when all was said and done, this yarn that based on the quantity that I bought was like $2 a skein. So I bought a lot of them because it was like $40 worth. It was $22 worth of tariffs. So I ended up paying like $70 something for $46 worth of yarn, which is frustrating. And I know a lot of people may not agree with the fact that I went ahead and paid that, but the heart wants what it wants. So now I have, this is I won't show you all the colors, but I did get their Friends Cotton 88 in lots of colors to do my amigurumi projects. And I didn't realize that they were 50 grams. That is also kind of upsetting because I'm like, shoot, I should have maybe bought double of a couple of these. But since they are for amigurumi, maybe this is for the best because there's like actually a prayer that I'm going to get through some of these colors. You know what I'm saying? So I got that. And then I also got safety eyes. They had some packs of those. So what I started on, I think I showed this in my amigurumi chart haul, but this is Bing Bong from the game Peak. And right now he doesn't look like much. But I And just to give you an idea, this color in particular is the one that I was like, oh shoot. So this is what I have stitched. I've stitched his body and an assemblage of limbs. So he's got 2 legs, one of which the short rows worked correctly on and one of which the other one didn't, but that's okay. So he's got 2 legs. He's got 2 arms. And then I just finished these before filming. He's got 2 sets of fingers to be sewn onto the arms. So that is all of the lime green on his body. So he needs like eyes and his hat. And this is what the yarn is looking like. So I think I can get a second one. I don't know if I can get a third. And I was hoping to make 4. I do have another lime green that I think will kind of work, but yeah, just sort of like, shoot, the first thing I wanted to do, I'm like, I should have just bought 2 of these, but it's okay, because I'm not planning to reorder from there for a minute. They also have a low tariff section. I don't really understand how that's possible, but these are the times. So that's kind of the lay of the land if you're looking for cheap cotton yarn, at least. Yeah. So that is everything I have. I actually had so much crafting to show you, which is very exciting. I'm not going to try to... Oh, and shoot! Speaking of woobles. Last thing is that my partner, I have expressed to this man that I'm like, I shouldn't be buying woobles, blah, 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 blah. But he takes that as an invitation of like, perfect, I'll just keep buying them. And I am always happy when he does. So it's not like I'm really giving him negative feedback on this. So for my birthday this year, this finally came in. He got Hugh the capybara, and he is 2 times bigger. You can see, I don't have a normal woobles bag, but they're usually more about this size. But he also, of course, got the yuzu, the tiny yuzu to go on his head, which in the scheme of the game Peak, there are also capybaras in the game Peak that have the little yuzus on their head, and you can play a horn at them, and they're chilling in a hot spring. And so anyway, it's just Peak City over here. I am obsessed with this game. So another reason, now that I have this too, I'm like, I gotta get the other 2 Pusheen cats done. And yeah, so I'm just trying to justify all of the crochet supplies that are coming in by doing the crocheting, but also I'm on a cross stitch roll right now. So this is the conundrum of the crafter. I know we can all relate to that in one way or another, where it's like, I can't do all the things at the same time. But yeah, that is what I have to share with you. I don't know when I'm going back to work, obviously. And you know, that's about it. That's it. We are supposed to get back paid, so that will be cool. I mean, obviously, like, having a day or 2 off work doesn't feel that bad until you're like, oh, well, like, paycheck's not going to come next week if we're not back in. So we will we'll see how this goes. The last time there was a government shutdown, I was in this role, but I was a fellow in like a different program, and so my funding was unaffected at the time. So this is my first time as a federal worker, like, going through a shutdown. So we will watch this process unfold together. But yeah, don't, like, I'm for the most part chilling. I am not the person people should be stressed about, but I am, you know, I do feel awful for folks who this is like much more immediate, and for all the folks that still have to go to work. You know, there's a very large proportion of furloughed federal workers who still have to go and work every day without being paid. So at least, like, in this situation, I also get to experience not working while not being paid for now. So yeah, just don't forget about the federal workers, and make sure if you got a flight, you're giving TSA extra time and USPS and the whole 9. So that, yeah, that's your federal news from me. I'm gonna just work on the crafts, and I'm trying to tackle like an unsavory task that I've been avoiding every day. So yesterday I washed my car and it really needed it. I spent like an hour and a half washing my car and it does look quite a bit better. And I got my oil changed. And then today I have some like a cord tech box of doom that I've been putting off, like organizing into figuring out what we need to keep, what we need to get rid of. So that is my task for the day after this. But I wanted to get this filmed, and yeah, that is all I know. I hope you're all doing well. You got some stitching done and you are enjoying hopefully a slightly cooler weather. I was like, I know I'm getting flushed because it is kind of warmer now, but it was cool this morning. I had my window open. It was really nice. So I am getting excited for some slightly cooler temperatures for sure. And I'm rambling. So thank you so much everyone for hanging out with me. Let me know what percentage of your projects are Halloween projects down below. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Thanks everybody. Bye.